I no longer predict Cody will be the one to dethrone John Cena. Bronson Reed joining Seth Rollins was a genuine shock to me. Ad breaks ruined this entire show. We have a lot to get into today. I'm Ben Allison here at Wrestling Republic, and I've analysed Saturday night's main event, and here are my 5 key findings. In at number 5, I no longer predict Cody will be the one to dethrone John Cena. The fact that Cody Rhodes has returned and immediately gone straight back after Cena tells me there is no way in hell they can drag this all the way to December. I mean, it is now confirmed they are doing a 2-on-2 tag team match at Money in the Bank, and then at Night at Champions, my guess would be Cena versus Jey Uso for the Crown Jewel Championship. I know it's not Crown Jewel, but we also know that the Crown Jewel Championship remains in Saudi Arabia, and this year's Crown Jewel is not in Saudi. So taking that all into mind, I think that the furthest we can really push back Cena versus Cody now is SummerSlam. And yes, it is possible Cody could lose at SummerSlam and they could run it back again in December, but surely they're not going to use 3 of Cena's dates for Cody matches. And I definitely don't think Cena's going to lose this belt at SummerSlam. I think the dates are going to continue running down all the way to his last appearance. So who will beat him? Well, I think the frontrunner will now be CM Punk. I'm rather convinced that it's going to be Punk versus Cody at WrestleMania this year, so you could realistically see either of them walking in as champion. In at number 4, could Chelsea Green return to her hot mess gimmick? First off, the important stuff, and that is that I hope Chelsea Green is okay after suffering that bloody nose. The match itself, truthfully, was a rare underperformance by both women involved. They're both usually very consistent, but even with the little time that this match was given, it just didn't hit the standards it should have. But what was more noticeable than the actual match itself was Chelsea Green's tweets after it, because immediately after suffering the injury, she took to Twitter and started to turn it into a storyline, and this is why I love Chelsea Green. I really cannot praise her enough for how often she turns accidents into happy accidents when it comes to storytelling, and I think once again she might be about to do that. But now what I'm wondering is if she's going to return to a TNA gimmick, the hot mess gimmick, where she starts to get insecure about her appearance because of the bloodied nose, and that could lead to a really interesting storyline, as we know she can play that character so well. I'd love to see it, and again, Chelsea Green is so great at making the most out of bad situations. In at number 3, Damian Priest should have pinned Drew McIntyre instead of walking out of the cage door. I can already tell this opinion is one which is going to get me a lot of hate, so please just hear me out first. Priest hit Drew McIntyre with a concerto, a move which is usually reserved for heels, but in this storyline, as he did as it was, it could be justified within the realms of kayfabe that a babyface could do this, and the crowd was still cheering him after it. But it was after he decided to walk through the steel cage door that the crowd started booing, and those boos were quite loud. It clearly was not a heel turn. He was high-fiving fans after it. But I don't care what people say. Walking out of the door in a steel cage match is a heelish thing to do. It is a cowardly thing to do. And Jesse Ventura was even saying it on commentary. Priest very simply should have just pinned Drew, because babyfaces either win by pinfall or climb over the cage. They don't use the door, which quite frankly, I and a lot of other people think is a stupid concept to begin with in a steel cage match. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to exaggerate and say, Priest is now a heel or something like that, but it was a silly thing to do. But before we get into the top 2 key findings and then the thoughts which you guys have submitted to us via our Instagram stories, I have a quick favor to ask, and that is that you like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. It really does help us out. I cannot exaggerate how much it helps us out. We do almost daily YouTube videos here, and we do a daily live stream every single day at 8 PM UK. I hope to see you guys then. That's 3 PM Eastern over in the United States. In at number 2, Bronson Reed joining Seth Rollins was a genuine shock to me. I'm not going to lie, I expected Seth Rollins to be the veteran of this faction, surrounded by younger talents who could main event WWE for the next 15 to 20 years. So in all honesty, my reaction to Bronson Reed joining last night in the moment was a negative one. I mean, the guy is 37, and don't get me wrong, that is still fairly young for WWE, but it doesn't mean you can main event for 15 to 20 years. I mean, 8 to 10 years if you're lucky. I mean, people forget, a lot of critics and a lot of people backstage were saying Batista was too old for Evolution during that time, and he was almost 4 years younger than Bronson Reed is now. However, the more I thought about it, the more happy I was about this move, right? Because I really do think Bronson Reed is a fantastic fit for it, and I'm really excited to see what he does in this faction. I don't think he's going to get that WrestleMania main event status, which I was hoping for everyone in this group, but I still think he's going to be a really fun part of it. But now, this absolutely confirms to me that there needs to be a fourth guy, and that fourth guy needs to be somebody who can main event for 15 to 20 years, and in my opinion, there is one guy who it should be, and that one guy is Austin Theory. Him fitting in with these three guys, I think, would be really, really good, and I think we then have four guys who do fit together really well. And in at number 1, ad breaks ruined this entire show. 11 4-minute commercial breaks in 2 hours. Are you joking me? And people overuse the term ruined. They really do, especially in this wrestling landscape. But I genuinely mean it about this show, because it took me out of every single match apart from Cena vs. Truth, which didn't have any commercials. And genuinely, if I wasn't live streaming my reactions for this event and chatting with people and reading comments, I think I would have fallen asleep. So far, every Saturday night's main event has had more adverts than the one before it, and that is an awful trend, and now it has become a complete and utter joke. Quite frankly, I thought there was arguably too many in the first one, but I think we've added on, like 3, 4 since then? Joke. Anyway, enough about my thoughts from last night's show. Let's get on to the thoughts that you guys have submitted to us via our Instagram broadcast channel. Joey Zumaya is saying the high point was Bronson Reed returning and joining Seth Rollins' faction. People seem to be liking that move, but the low point was the US title match. It was disappointing and it was rushed. Absolutely agreed. The in-ring action during it was not great. It was very sloppy. A very rare mistake from both of these ladies because they are usually phenomenal. At Green Alien BMG says, why did Bronson join Seth Rollins after delivering so many tsunamis to him and being his enemy? It doesn't make any sense to me. That is a story they've got to tell, and it's a story they've got to tell this week on Monday Night Raw. I think, maybe sometimes you can gain respect for somebody after, I guess, feuding with them or something. We have seen it in wrestling time and time before. It is a little bit stupid, but it is also kind of as old as time in wrestling. But they certainly need to address this ASAP. Jose99 says the high point was the tag match, Cody returning and R-Truth making his match fun. I haven't spoken about R-Truth, but genuinely, his job last night was absolutely exceptional. From the entrance to what he was doing in the ring, it was a lot of fun. By far, to me, the highlight of the show. But the low was the ads. I mean, that is a big low point. Jesse burying the cage match. I mean, honestly, I agree with Jesse. And the women's US title match. But yeah, it is true. Jesse, as the commentator, shouldn't really be saying that. Up next, we have Ginger Bretman, who is saying Jay has yet to win cleanly since WrestleMania. Got a feeling this tag match will result in a cash-in on the same night, again for the men on Jay. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it is very possible. I mean, we could have somebody run in and then try and decide who they're going to cash in on. That would be a fun moment. But I also do think it's going to be Rollins who probably wins Money in the Bank, and I'm not entirely sure we'll see the cash-in until perhaps SummerSlam. But the Jey Uso not winning clean thing is genuinely a big issue. Now, I remember we spoke about it a couple of Raws ago. Jose99 actually sent in a comment about it, and I said it was a good point, and since then it's actually gotten worse. And last but certainly not least, Kev74007 says the highs were Cody's return and Ron Cena and the steel cage match and the tag match, and the lows, he didn't really have any, leaving it on a really positive note. I like that, Kev. But that does bring us to the end of the show, so what's my overall rating? Honestly, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. Reason for that is purely the amount of ad breaks and the fact that just everything kind of felt rushed, apart from Cody Truth, which is the only reason this doesn't get scored lower. I thought everything should have felt like a bigger deal than it did. It was rushed, too many ad breaks, and it just didn't really feel that good to me, honestly. But you guys disagree? If you do, please tell me in the comments down below. Feel free to argue with me. My opinion is not gospel, right? Absolutely try and argue with me down there, and I'll reply to them as always. But I hope you guys have a fantastic Sunday, and I will see you guys tomorrow to talk a little bit of AEW. See you guys. Peace.